Sorry, that was ridiculously high-pitched. You saw the title of this video, so I'm going to do a bookshelf tour, but I'm not going to do it in the same way that a lot of other people do. I'm basically going to be talking about my physical TBR, essentially, and like books that I've read, rather than just do one episode where I'm showing you all of the books on my shelves here. What I'm actually going to do is talk briefly, hopefully, about like 10 of them per episode. Some of them I'll have read, others will be part of my physical TBR. Most of the books that I own are physical TBR because I spent years reading books and then getting rid of them. It was always like, well, I love this book so someone else will love it, or it was, I hate this book, someone's gotta love it. For a really long time I got rid of all of the books that I read, and now here I am like suddenly wanting and needing them. However, I love owning a ton of books that I have yet to read. That's really exciting to me. Without further ado, what I'm going to do is talk about 10 books, 5 from one genre, 5 from the other, just to keep it spicy so that it's not too boring. Today's genres are historical fiction, which is one of my absolute favorite genres, and then horror, which isn't one of my favorite genres, but it's still one that I will gravitate towards. Like, I feel like a lot of us, I don't know about y'all, but a lot of us have like those genres where we'll just kind of like put up with mediocre quality just for the sake of the genre. And I feel like for a lot of people, that's maybe like mysteries or thrillers. For me, it's definitely more horror side of things, definitely paranormal kind of stuff. I'll put up with a lot in the horror genre just for the sake of being able to read horror, but historical fiction absolutely is. I'm gonna shut up. I don't know what I should start with. Let's just start with horror. First up, a book I have not read and I'm really excited to. I found Puppets Living in My Apartment Walls by Ben Farthing. Every time I read his last name, I say Farthing, which is a total ADHD moment. The back says, Johnny awakes, a puppet looms over his bed. He recognizes the furry monster Grandpa was its puppeteer on the children's television show Our City Street. But Grandpa went missing a year ago. He disappeared from this very apartment building, which was converted from the old Our City Street studio. Desperate to see Grandpa again, Johnny follows the puppet inside the building's wall, ever deeper into a puppet-infested labyrinth. This sounds bonkers. Also, puppets can be really effing creepy. And the idea of just kind of turning, like, you know, Sesame Street into a horror novelette. I know it's a novella, but we're calling them novelettes from now on. It sounds fun. It sounds exciting. So I'm really looking forward to reading this, and this will also be like, this size is so good for a reading slump. So this is like on deck for when reading isn't going so well. Up next is a book I have read and really, really loved. It's Nosferatu by Joe Hill, who is the son of someone named Stephen King. I have no idea. Joe Hill has written quite a few books, and this is the only one that I've read. It's not the only one that I own. I do own another one of his that's kind of like up next. Victoria Queen has an uncanny knack for finding things: a misplaced bracelet, a missing photograph, answers to unanswerable questions. When she rides her bicycle over the rickety old bridge in the woods near her house, she emerges in the places she needs to be. Charles Talent Manx has a gift of his own. He likes to take children for rides in his 1938 Rolls-Royce Wraith. Try saying that 5 times fast. Rolls-Royce Wraith and the vanity plate Nosferatu. In the Wraith, he and his innocent guests can slip out of the everyday world and into hidden roads that lead to an astonishing playground of amusements he calls Christmas Land. Has like the Stephen King kind of vibes. Like, it really reminds me of It in that way. Joe Hill is definitely a different writer than his father in many ways. Definitely the same in many ways as well. He understands kind of like childhood fear, and that's what a lot of this is about. And there are obviously parallels between abuse of power by adults and the lack of power that children have. This was actually turned, I unfortunately have the AMC version here, but it was turned into a TV show that Zachary Quinto was in, and it was just okay. I would say just read this. You could skip the show entirely, but I always think it's fun to like read a book and then watch whatever adaptation came after it. This is really, really good. Actual creep me out moments, but I think at the end of the day, the reason I love it actually has very little to do with the scares and more to do with the storytelling and the characters. So good. Next is The Devil Takes You Home by Gabino Iglesias. So I am actually reading his new one, House of Bone and Rain, like right now. I'm about a quarter of the way through and I am really liking it. And I am like, why did I decide to like start reading that one when I already like had one of his? But you know, whatever. It's totally fine. Buried in debt due to his young daughter's illness, his marriage at the brink, Mario reluctantly takes a job as a hitman, surprising himself with his proclivity for violence. After tragedy destroys the life he knew, Mario agrees to one final job, hijacking a cartel's cash shipment before it reaches Mexico. Along with an old friend and a cartel insider named Juanca, Mario sets off on the near-suicidal mission which will leave him with either a cool $200,000 or a bullet in the skull. But the path to reward or ruin is never as straight as it seems. As the three complicated men travel through the endless landscape of Texas, across the border and back, their hidden motivations are laid bare alongside nightmarish encounters that defy explanation. This seems like border horror story, maybe with some paranormal stuff. I love when you can blend the paranormal side of things, or even just horror in general, with something that feels very prescient and has a message. I'm a sucker for that stuff. I'm a millennial. Like, of course I'm a sucker for that stuff. Up next is Ghost Eaters by Clay McLeod Chapman. I am actually a little nervous about this one. I've seen that the ratings are kind of low. This is basically a horror novel about drug addiction, and there's a drug called Ghost, and like if you want to get high, it's like you want to get haunted is what people ask, and apparently the drug has really terrible side effects. The side effects are probably paranormal, is what I'm gathering. I've seen really low ratings for this, so this is one of those where I'm probably going to read the first chapter, maybe first 20% of the book or something, 10%, I don't know, and decide from there. I do actually rely on word of mouth for a lot of my books because there's so many fucking books. Don't know if I'm looking forward to it, but I want to try this. Then I have Patricia Wants to Cuddle. I have not read this yet. It's by Samantha Allen. I am really looking forward to it, though. It takes place in the Pacific Northwest, which is where I live, so of course that automatically interests me, but it's Lily Wachowski's blurb up here that really grabs my attention. Well, I guess Bigfoot lesbian rom-com mystery horror is my new favorite genre. So much fun. If it could be her favorite genre, why can't it be my favorite new genre? I'm actually not that into rom-coms or romance in general. I try to look for these like genre bending ones and genre blending ones in order to just kind of dip my toes into things that I aren't normally like gravitating towards. I definitely want to try it. And again, PNW babies. Okay, so that was all of the horror novels. Let me know if y'all have read any of those. Please tell me what I should prioritize. Up next is Sign Talker. So this is the first of my historical fiction stuff. Total like 180 here, taking a sharp left turn into another genre, by James Alexander Thom. Honestly, I look at this and I'm like, dear God, like what is this going to be about? Y'all, I'm gonna be honest, I may have had an edible when I ordered this. I'm kind of worried that this is going to be really problematic. And so this could easily be one where I start reading it and I'm like, oh no. This is about Meriwether Lewis and William Clark, Lewis and Clark expedition all the way to Oregon, which is where I live, right? So another like PNW kind of theme here. They decide to bring someone along who can do sign language, a sign talker essentially. And this isn't like ASL, right? Like this is in order to be able to more easily communicate with native populations. And they chose, his name is George Drouillard. I cannot find for the life of me if this person or this character is native in any way, shape, or form. I am like looking at the cover here and I'm like, dear God, what is going on? I'm just gonna even stop holding it up. It makes me really nervous. This is gonna be one where I'm gonna try this. If anyone has read this, please let me know if this is problematic. I'd rather know ahead of time and just like chuck it if it's gonna be problematic. Okay, up next is Trust by Hernan Diaz. I have heard really amazing things about this. Winner of the Pulitzer Prize. Obama put it on his like favorite books of the year. This is, from what I understand, this is a book within a book kind of thing. and it takes place in 1930s, 1920s, New York. There are 4 different like perspectives. I hear it's kind of noir. There's some queer aspect to it. I get the sense that I'm not supposed to know a lot about this before I start reading it. So I have not done a lot of like research about it. But if anyone has read it, please let me know if you liked it. It's a bit chonkier than I honestly would like it to be, but it kind of looks like the chapters are short. Which makes my ADHD brain like really happy. All right, up next is a book I have read and I freaking love it. Savage Reads, Booktuber, was the one who actually turned me on to this. It was like one of his favorites of the year, and I was like, okay, let me get in on this. And yeah, this is a 5-star read for me, actually. It's Still Life by Sarah Winman. This is not a book for everyone. You should probably be more so into character studies than plot-driven novels. However, this does move at a bit of a clip. It kind of spans, I think, like maybe 40 years? Yeah, somewhere around there, 30, 40 years. At the center of the story is a man, his memories of meeting this female art historian who was saving works of art in Italy when they ran into each other in, I think it was World War II. 1944. It's not romantic either. It's like this beautiful little friendship, and then they kind of never see each other again. It follows this guy through going back to England and then moving to Florence, Italy, and the people that he moves with. It's very found family, chosen family, and it's about growing older and also being queer in a time when you can't really be queer, but also not really defining queerness. They were only just learning how to define queerness. This is all of those things. There's a very smart talking parrot in it at one point. There is a talking tree, somewhat magical realism too. I'm telling everyone this because the characters in this are just, they're beautiful. And probably more so, their relationships to each other it brings me so much joy. However, this is not plot focused, and there is some sort of fantastical element to it that never really gets a definition. This parrot is laugh out loud funny. Smuggling him across the English Channel is one of the funniest things maybe ever. A big win for reading this would be immersive reading. So grab the audiobook too. I think it's the author who narrates it, and she does voices, and the voices are actually like pitch perfect. I want this to be my husband. I want this to become alive and just be my husband. Okay, another book that I've read, Atonement by Ian McEwan. Everyone knows of this book. If you haven't read this book, you know of it. It's also kind of good for you to not know anything really. Younger sister Bryony sees her older sister with the grounds, like the gardener of this like family estate. Very rich family. She sees the two together and kind of misinterprets what happens between them. And that sets all the characters off on a course through life that they cannot change, cannot alter. It is not fully romance. Like, I think a lot of people expect this to be like a romance, but it is not entirely about that. It is very, very character driven. A lot of the themes in this are built around guilt and shame and forgiveness. I think that this is actually a surprise to a lot of people who read it. I read this back fairly close to when it came out. So, okay, almost 20 years ago. That's cool. That doesn't age me at all. Whew, yeah. Yep, read this about 2 or 3 years after it came out. I've been seeing it kind of make a resurgence on the social media, and am seeing that people are still really, really liking this. I feel comfortable suggesting this to everyone. I haven't reread it, but I feel comfortable standing by my 5-star rating. Some people don't like the ending, but I'm not such a stickler for endings. So if endings can like ruin a book for you, probably not 5-star, but I think it would still be like 4-star at least. And last but not least, Joan by Catherine J. Chen. This is a fictional reimagining of Joan of Arc. I think it's supposed to be like kind of a feminist retelling. I don't understand me, because when I was in school, medieval history was like, no, I didn't want any part of it. When I go to Europe and there's a bunch of like medieval museums or buildings, it's not something that grabs my attention. And yet, when a story is set in medieval Europe, really medieval anywhere, but medieval Europe for this case, I am immediately drawn to it. And I have Absolutely no idea why. I genuinely want to do like a series of just like medieval historical fiction. I have one that I'm going to be reading in like October that I'm really excited for, Nicked. I also like a couple years ago read Between Two Fires, which I freaking love. I think this is really going to be up my alley. All right, guess what? That was it. That wasn't too painful. That was actually kind of fun. It was fun for me. I hope it was fun for you. Please leave a comment, share the video maybe. I don't know. Also let me know if there's any ADHD specific content you guys would like to see. I would love to start making some videos that are kind of revolve around having ADHD and reading and the struggles and the benefits and blah blah blah. Those are in kind of nascent planning stages right now. Please tell me what I should prioritize of these 10 books that I read. Tell me what you've read and liked. Tell me if there was anything there that is new to you or going to be added to your list. Thank you so much. I will see you next time. Bye.